Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Polani. Well, the court still on the 2023 election. INEC was sued, as you know, by a group of 4 Nigerians. Long and short of it was that they should continue the voters registration exercise. This goes back in July, and that was when the suit was first filed. But now the court has come out and they've said that, well, looking at everything together, the Constitution, the Electoral Act amended, INEC must be within the law. And so the judge, Justice Ekwo, said yesterday that INEC cannot stop until 90 days to the actual election. It might have seemed a bit confusing to those of us that lawyers refer to as unlearned. But, well, we then made sure to get a learned gentleman in here today. My friend, Fasi Yusuf, Dr. Yusuf, a lawyer, public affairs analyst, and a communications consultant. Good morning, Fasi.
Good morning, Yori.
Indeed.
Nice seeing you again.
Indeed, it is. And everybody's prepared for the election, hopefully. Yes. Everything is in order. Apart from these legal, issues that sometimes might be a bit confusing, because the way many unlearned people were looking at it was that, so what is the issue? At one point, they say, no, you can't. Then at the other point, they say, yes, go ahead, because it's just a few days to the election. Maybe we'll just take a brief moment for you to sort of explain what might have seemed a bit confusing.
Well, the suit was filed by some concerned Nigerians who contended that being bona fide Nigerians eligible to vote exercise their franchise, and the INEC ought to take into cognizance the provisions of the Constitution and the amended electoral law. Both give effect to the fact that you can only stop registration of voters when it is 90 days to the general elections. Meanwhile, the general elections will be starting on the 25th of February, 2023. Mm-hmm. So at the time the matter was filed in court, which was in July, we were talking about 7 months to the election. And of course, the judicial
and that process, is around 210 days.
The judicial process in the country it took a while. And in any case, you must give kudos to the Federal Court, because normally some cases would take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years before they are disposed of. In this particular case,
an accelerated hearing.
Just about between July and now, just about 4 months. Mm-hmm. About 4 months. Mm-hmm. So, by the time the declaratory judgment, declaratory in the sense that it put parties where they ought to be. When you talk about declaratory judgment, declaring the interest of parties. Sure. If Yori and Fasi, they have a matter, you want to exercise your right, I want to exercise my right, it's only the court that can adjudicate on that. So the court has said, look, INEC is going outside the purview of the Constitution and the electoral law by not continuing the registration exercise until 90 days before the election. But somehow, the judgment has been arrested by time, which we call a friction of time in law.
Okay.
So,
because it doesn't matter now.
So now, if we calculate the period between now and the general election, just 90 days. So the court was right.
It should be just 90 days.
Yes, just
that's why Justice Ekwo said he was not about to grant that.
So the judge was right to say that, look, if I give any order that INEC should continue, then I will also be running against the Constitution and the electoral law.
Indeed.
But what I've said, and what the court has said, is that we have looked at the matters presented to us. We have looked at the defense of INEC. We've discovered that the court discovered that there was no justification in what INEC said. INEC said because of logistics, they needed to prepare, they needed to do this, they needed to do that. But the Constitution did not emphasize what INEC said. The electoral law did not emphasize that, and therefore, the court said, INEC, you ought to have continued the registration. And that's the situation as it is.
That INEC ought to have.
Yes.
But so when you see a caption such as refuses to order INEC to resume containers, that is the part that's confusing.
Well, it could be criminal headlines. We know we as journalists.
Exactly.
You want to create interest.
When you say refuses to order INEC, I think that's what you just put in context now.
Yes, because
that it can't.
Because the court cannot give any order in futility. It will be of no effect. If you order them to go ahead, and now the Constitution says, the combined effect of the Constitution and the electoral law, they both say that, look, 90 days. So once you say 90 days, and the court is not saying that, look, go ahead, up to what time?
Exactly.
Because the court itself must be running foul of the Constitution.
Which it can't.
Which it cannot do.
Which it cannot do.
Because a court of law is a court of equity, it's a court of justice.
So
you cannot manufacture law.
That's right. So effectively, even though I want us to be very careful in front of a lawyer, especially using these Latin terms, but it's like the status quo. The way it is now is the way it shall be, you know.
Yes, to the extent that time is not on our side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the judgment, the declarative judgment will have been quite effective. So now it cannot be enforced because of time.
So therefore, INEC is good, so to speak, with
to the extent that time has allowed INEC to retain its position.
That is.
But what it did has been declared nugatory.
Yes.
That it ought not to have done that.
Well, we'll be hearing from Mr. Festus Okoye, Barrister Festus Okoye, chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC. All other things being equal, because he's a very, very busy man, and you can imagine. Nevertheless, we did negotiate and see if we can get him on later on. But in the meantime, we have he's a legal expert. We also have our legal expert in-house. And the point that INEC made and that you've just explained, that, well, the efficient of time has sort of neutralized that.
Arrested that.
So what INEC was saying at the time was that it needed that time to do logistics, do any printing and all of that. So no doubt INEC would have been continuing work since then, waiting for the decision. So it looks like everything almost in a sort of way, all's well that ends well. From the point of view of INEC, maybe it is the people who brought the matter, the 4 Nigerians who brought the matter, that probably were expecting something different, and that can't be done. No.
You see, if the judgment, if the matter had been had expeditiously,
yes, okay,
or within a month disposed of, don't forget that the court was on vacation and all the rest, maybe they file affidavit of urgency, or whatever, I don't know whether that was considered or not, because it's one thing for you to file a certificate of urgency, affidavit of urgency, so that your matter be had expeditiously or to be had during vacation. Maybe it was considered, or it was not considered, it was looked at as not necessarily being too urgent to warrant being had during vacation.
Exactly.
So, be that as it was, the fact was that the matter was filed around July. But the judgment, the declarative judgment was not given until yesterday. So, to that extent, INEC was able to escape that judgment.
Yes, that has been the net effect of it all.
Yes.
It has escaped that. So it will continue. It looks like none of INEC's plans would have been disrupted by this.
By this, yes.
Simply by the way fortuitously handed out.
Just to teach INEC a lesson that, look, you don't go outside the Constitution, you don't go outside the law that establishes you. Because that is your life, that is the life wire, that is the blood, that breathes life into your existence.
And I really hope that, as I said, we've already spoken with Festus Okoye. I really hope he can come in, because INEC has always emphasized that it will not do anything outside of the law, and that it can be very studious about, the law, and so
it will be necessary for us to hear. But the only reason, or the only defense given by INEC was that it needed time to undertake all the logistics.
And so it stopped
the
early.
printing of voters' card,
Yes.
the distribution, and all the rest.
And so it stopped its
It stopped it.
registration.
Unilaterally.
Unilaterally, it stopped early.
Yes.
And that is what the court has now declared.
Said, look, you ought not have done this. You should not do this. The Constitution does not allow you to do it. The law that establishes you does not, the amended law that establishes you does not allow you to do that. That it must continue 90 days to the general election.
You yourself, as most Nigerians, especially legal people, they know INEC. They've been following, how it's been moving. And so I was going to ask you what your own personal opinion of all of this is. You've said that, well, INEC has been taught this lesson. So yes. Maybe that's one thing. But as I'm speaking now, I hear that Reverend Dominic has joined us. So let's hear from Reverend Dominic. A fine morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Yore.
Good morning.
Good morning to Doctor.
Yes.
This judgment, to me, is a wake-up call. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's a wake-up call to both the INEC and Nigeria as a nation.
Okay.
I think what we are going to do, since we amend our electoral law every electoral cycle, let's go and make this particular registration like a driver's license. When you are 18 years old, you step into INEC office or local government office and take your PVC. So it's no more, and that will take away somebody from INEC. That every year cycle you start this registration that gives you some consent. Let's make it like driver's license. Even if it's 18 years old, somebody step in there. That body will totally take away from INEC. What they will do is to reconcile their register maybe once in a year or twice in a year or anyhow it suits them so they can reconcile their register. But this issue of fire brigade approach should stop. Nigeria have matured. This is a nation about 62 years old. We must get something right. And I think INEC is doing well. I think in the electoral laws we are making progress. The progress is that we don't need to judge this thing. By next year or by next upper year, we make it as a law. That whenever you are 18 years, go and take your PVC. It's so simple. So this threat of budgetary will go off from INEC and go off from Nigerian people. I think I would say again, we're making progress in that area. God bless Nigeria.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic, for calling in. So that's his suggestion.
Yes, I think, you see, the point should be made that until we're able to harmonize, synchronize all these operations, we continue to have disparaging or scattered operations that are not in congruence with any sane society. For example, I do not see why the national identification exercise should not be harmonized with the voters' registration, with passport, as has been done now, and other things, so that you know at a glance that, look, if you have a national identity card, you know your age, all the institutions are able to verify your age, and therefore, you automatically have your voter's card. It's made to you.
Exactly.
Like you have in other developed democracies. But we spend so much money doing this exercise, doing that exercise, and all the rest. We duplicate agencies in this country. Now, you remember the report that talked about harmonization of the public service and all the rest, that too many agencies are doing the same thing. Yeah. And that's a waste.
So it is. Everybody having their own
waste of
records.
Resources. Yes, a waste of resources. So if you have national identity card, why do you need a BVN? Why do you need a different exercise for your driver's license? Why do you need a different thing for your other things like this voters thing we're talking about?
Indeed. Ade in the UK. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Yori. Good morning to my brother in the studio, the great lawyer. Please, I want to ask him a question. Can he educate us, please? In this election, if there are no clear winners, what did our constitution say will happen? Thank you.
Well, the constitution says that for you to win the presidential election, you must secure at least 1/4 of the votes cast in at least 2/3 of the states. In the particular case now, we're talking about 24 states, plus FCT. So when you have 1/4 of the votes cast, I'm not talking about the total population now. I mean, hypothetically, take Lagos State, for example. You have about 5 or 6 million voters, registered voters. So you assuming only 2 million voted, you expect that if the vote in Lagos State is to count, then the president candidate must win at least 1/4. 1/4 of 2 million is 500,000 votes.
At least.
At least. So that will be one. Then you need in 23 other states.
To make 2/3 of the states of the federation.
You now talk about the highest number of votes.
Then you talk about the highest number of votes in that order.
And that also happened during Shagari and Awolowo.
Indeed. Leading to the Akinjide 12
Yes.
thirds.
But if there's no clear winner, there'll be a runoff.
Indeed. Interesting. Somebody was speaking about that in the news, and I think it was from the PDP camp. There's not going to be a runoff. Atiku is going to win, clean clear.
Yes.
So, Mazi Okoroafo from Arochukwu. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guest.
Thank you. The man from Aro.
Yeah, Sayori. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mazi.
Yeah, good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guest.
Good morning, Maxi.
Yeah, Sayori, I want us to look at this issue, my brother. Let's look at this issue historically. If INEC stopped this issue of registration in July, what does it take? Hello?
Carry on, please.
What does it take the INEC between July, or the judiciary, between July, August, September, October, November, to go and bring the judgment? The judiciary. Because the Nigerian judicial system, I don't know what's wrong with us, because we are creating more problems for the country. Because if the judgment has been given since August, the others will find themselves very well and what to do or not, how to adjust or not. Now, it's less than 90 days, just 90-something days.
Just a little over.
And you're telling people to go back and start doing registration. You know the type of Nigerians we are. Knowing the type of electricity problems we have in Nigeria. Knowing how the level of illiteracy has taken over Nigeria and the poverty. And you're telling people, even the so-called permanent voter card to go and collect it. It's a problem. Many Nigerians cannot go to the local government to collect this because they are poor, they can't sleep, we don't talk about transportation. So our judiciary system, if I have my way, I will overhaul every system there, up from the Supreme Court to the magistrate. Because let them see that they went to law school, they went to legal education. They should see them and listen. Look at what happened in Kenya. After the election, within 1 week, the Supreme Court gave judgment. In Nigeria, it will take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 to 4 years. I don't know. Our judicial system needs overhauling. Good morning.
Good morning, Mazi.
Every spectrum of the society needs overhauling.
Overhauling in our beloved country.
In this country. We have issues of development that we are contending with. The judiciary is not isolated from the rest of the society. There are many fundamental issues. You talk about electricity, you talk about computerization, you talk about the workload, you talk about the analog system of recording and all the rest. You expect a 65-year-old man or a 69-year-old man, because at the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, they retire at 70. The High Court retire at 65. You expect them to be writing manually everything you say and all the rest. So even if a machine is recording it, and it's not everything that the judge would now have to transfer into his register and all the rest. So there are many issues involved. Maybe by the time our set gets off the stage, the younger ones who are more knowledgeable in technology, who are computer savvy and all the rest, who are technologically savvy, will be able to handle the decision better. But as it is, and again, don't forget that we don't have an electoral court yet that will handle that matter expeditiously. So the judges that are assigned these cases have to handle these cases along with other cases. If you think because this particular matter is urgent, what about other cases? For example, now, if we go to the Supreme Court now, there are cases that have been listed up to 2027, 28, 5 years. There are some cases in this country that will take about 30 years to run through from the High Court to the Supreme Court.
Is that the way, by the way, is that the way it happens around the world?
No.
It's a Nigerian
ours
thing.
is peculiar.
Ours is peculiar.
Because the population is expanding. And
so issues before the court will also follow suit.
Yes. And again, the constitution is very, more or less, has made it so difficult for the courts to expand. For example, now, the Supreme Court, look at how many, we have less than 15 justices of the Supreme Court now. And to take care of 220 million people, that is a huge task.
Indeed. One moment, please. Good morning, Mr. George in Ikeja.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, permit me to continue from where Reverend Dominic stopped.
Sure.
Yes, the registration for for voters, I don't think it should be restricted to a timeline. There should be a continuous voter registration up to that 30 and 90 days
90
before any general election. What am I saying? In other words, after this general election, from day one after the last day of election, people should be able to go to INEC and register until it is 90 days to the next general election. If they do it like that, there will be no rushing. There will be no, I've been there several times, I was not able, because people will take their time and go at the time that is convenient for them. After all, we are running a banking system. You can take your ATM card from Lagos to Maiduguri and take your money from a bank there. This thing is technology now. We have to make use of it. That's why they are there.
Indeed.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. So that's as you explained, that's what the court has now declared.
Good, as he said, but the court has declared that that INEC has no reason or cannot give any reason for not continuing with the voters registration exercise until 90 days to the general election. But the point to be made is this: Nigerians will wait till the last minute.
This is it.
Look at during the national identity card registration until the last minute. This minute has been on for over 10 years. Nigerians were waiting for the last minute. And look at even this voters registration exercise. If you're talking about somebody who just clocked 18, that's a different thing. But for those of us who are above 18, what were we waiting for? What were we waiting for? So if you are talking about somebody who just clocked 18, maybe in July or in June, and say that, look, because he's just 18, he cannot register to vote, yeah, that is understandable. But for people who are above 18, and to wait until the dying minute, when you know the peculiarity of the Nigerian situation, I think we should also be able to examine ourselves.
Indeed.
I'm not defending INEC, but INEC says it needs all this, but it's been told in clear terms now that you cannot do it.
Cannot, And
I only hope that INEC will not want to appeal that, because they have the constitutional right to appeal.
They do, but
Yes.
Everything that you're explaining,
I don't think
everything that you explain leads to the caption you can see there.
Yes.
Why the court has declined,
Yes.
although the word refuses is used, to order INEC to resume
Yes.
the exercise because it's going to be an exercise almost in futility, and they're not going to upset the apple cart. That is without prejudice to the fact that there's been a declaration that INEC should not have acted.
INEC has been put in where it ought to be.
Exactly.
That it knows now that, look, after these general elections, the registration will continue, and the next willing 2027, it now knows that it can only stop registration 90 days to general election, unless the law is amended again.
Indeed, and the Nigerians that we have to thank for this is four Nigerians.
Yes.
Salmat and Anajat Salmat, Ernest Stanley, Charles Okafor, and Samuel Oluwakemi INEC, of course, is the sole defendant. And as you said, they have the right to appeal. But
let me try to be mischievous a bit.
Yes.
You notice the spread.
The spread of those names. Anajat Salmat, Ernest Stanley, Charles Okafor, and Samuel Oluwakemi.
From the southwest.
So these things, but they were strategically, I just hope we can get hold of Mr. Festus Okoye, because he had agreed to come on, and he will do that if at all it is possible. But we also know, and I think he's been speaking with our producers, that, duty calls, but you never can tell. Never say never. But here we are discussing it, and suggestions have been made that we... Ogie, calling in from the UK, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Is this a journalist, what do you call it?
This morning on TVC.
It's okay, Yori, yes?
Yes. Yes, you have reached us.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's just a point of correction.
Sure.
Yes, it's okay. The correction I'm going to make is this: the point the learned lawyer. Yes, he said it's only when they get out of the scene, that is the elderly, the people who are and that when the younger ones come, that is when we can change the judiciary in terms of getting the information out, whatever judgment they get, because they are using analog now. What is there is this: the Supreme Court you can go to the Supreme Court, get a judgment, get the younger ones who are out of the school now, who are into computing, take them abroad, take them to the higher institution where they can learn the advanced type of shorthand, where they can capture all the information, all the decisions that are made. Because he tends to say that because they are using analog.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, and I'm sure he's also hearing you. But is that so much a correction as an observation okay. But thank you very much, Ogie, for calling in. But I imagine, I was waiting for the corrective part, but you heard him.
He made his point.
Yes.
I made my point. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was only adding to it.
Yes,
I was not correcting what I said.
No, I don't think so, because I think the point that you had made is that the stress is too much. And you made the observation that
the Nigerian judicial system cannot be divorced from the rest of the systems we have in this country. And I said the Constitution is one thing. The Constitution has limited the number of justices we can have in the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the Constitution was made in 1999. This is 2022. So 23 years after. What was the population in 1999? What is the population now? And what are we projecting? What is the growth rate of our population? Can the Supreme Court meet the yearnings of Nigerians without being expanded?
Exactly. And as you said as a consequence of this, it is not unheard
backlog
of for cases to be
there for 5 years, 10 years.
20, maybe even 30 years. So clearly some of those...
No, the 30 years may not be for the Supreme Court, but I'm saying from the High Court to the Supreme Court, it could take 30 years.
Indeed. And what kind of justice is that?
Exactly.
It's almost...
And you may even discover that by the time it gets to the Supreme Court, it's remitted back to the High Court again.
And we're looking at the decision the declaration handed down by the court ordering INEC not to stop until 90 days to the elections. The judge, Justice Ekwo, declining to order INEC so to do. And that's been put in context for us. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like time came on its side. But as our legal expert in studio has said, it's like the passage of time came to the, if aid is the word to use,
to the rescue of INEC.
To the rescue of INEC. But I think the point has been made that this legal declaration the point has been made that INEC cannot operate outside
The purview of
the purview of the law, either the Constitution or the Electoral Act.
Enabling Act.
Exactly. It must be in there, which is a bit surprising that INEC will be hearing this, seeing as they usually are quite finicky about sticking with the law. But INEC saw it from its own sort of estimation of time that it needed
its own convenience.
to prepare its own convenience. Yes. And the court has said...
And the convenience is, INEC's convenience may not be the convenience of the law.
Exactly.
So what the law says is what ought to be, not what you think it should be.
So where did these fine people come from? The 4 people who, I mean, as you said, it looks like they're from all the corners of the country, the way we're just going by those names. So well, there are a lot of legal activists, yes, no doubt.
There are people who are very concerned with the development of jurisprudence. Mm-hmm. So you look at every law and see how it could be operationalized. And if they sense any infringement or any infraction, they take it upon themselves, like what Serap is doing and all the rest, like what Budget is doing and all the rest. So there are many non-governmental agencies and many lawyers who are concerned with the operationalization of our laws.
And all of it is developing the law.
It is right.
Okay. All right.
It's good for the development of this country.
Indeed. Benga in Abuja, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to your guest.
Indeed. Thank you for calling in.
When around 4 o'clock yesterday, some online newspaper reported, conventional one reported that the court granted that INEC should resume registration. But later, toward the end of the night, in the evening, they said INEC refused. Whichever way it is, I knew that judgment was dead on arrival because it required 90 days for INEC before the election to stop registration. And the 90 days is about 2 or 3 days. So even if the court have granted that judgment, it will be difficult to implement it.
That's exactly what Fasi Yusuf has explained.
Yes, what I'm saying is that there are other issues that I want the CSO, civil society organization, to go into in order to make the coming elections more free and fair and acceptable. INEC reported that out of 10 million people who register online do not follow up to register physically, and that 70%, which is about 7 million, are disqualified. That is, the registration were not completed and they will not be given PVC. And people have been silenced on it, even the media have been silenced on it. By the time this 7 million now go to the INEC office to go and collect their PVC, and they are denied, there will be an uproar. They are denied because they are supporting one particular candidate or the other. I expected INEC to have sent SMS to them that, look, because you not collect you not complete registration, you will not get a PVC. I think the earlier they do that, because by the time you come to January, February now, and these people, 7 million all over the country or from one part of Nigeria, because of a candidate that came into the election, into the contest and into the president something, some part of the country now have the urge to go and register. If a percentage of these people are the affected ones, there will be problem. They will say they are denied because they know that they want to vote their candidate. I think INEC should do more to come out with more information on this and even send SMS or whatever to inform these people that, look, you do not complete your registration, so we not have a PVC.
Okay.
And secondly, this CUPP have been bringing allegations that are double registration, multiple registration. INEC has come up now that, look, go to the website or wherever their office is and go and check. If you see double registration or somebody on that registration, people should point it out. But I don't see that going on. Tomorrow now, they will go and accuse INEC that they register underage person to vote. What I'm saying in summary is that the CSO did the time they need to wake up and make sure all these areas are cleared and with the party, so that in the coming election, no part of the country, you say, look, we are denied of this because our candidate is the one to win. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Benga in Abuja. And this is why we made sure, when we knew we were going to have this conversation today, to get Barrister Festus Okoye, the chair of Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, to agree to come, which indeed he did. And even up to this morning, before the program went out, we were in communication with him. So something has happened, as often it can, duty calls or whatever. But just to say that we were aware that it would be quite helpful to be hearing from INEC, to be commenting on the points. Yes, from the horse's mouth on these points that are being raised. But thank you very much. As we've heard even before you came in, Benga, excellent suggestions that are coming on, pointing to the fact that, and INEC itself has always said that there's much, much more to do, but we've started. We're a long way away from where we were at the very beginning.
And there are millions of voters' cards awaiting collection.
So there has to be a better kind of a system.
So I don't know whether these people did not actually register or they did double registration, and that is why they've not come out to collect their voters' card. Because there are millions of them waiting in the different INEC offices. There's something was wrong with the system.
Let me bring in Yao in Adamawa. Good morning to you.
Your guest. The issue of this voters registration, the problems comes from our representative. I will not blame the court nor the INEC. Despite INEC are independent and court too are independent of themselves, but the problems comes from our representative. I think it's better now for our senators and House of Representatives to enact laws that will guarantee and allow INEC to be open for our citizens to register themselves. Because today, you will be 17, next month you will be 18 years, you will be eligible to vote. And at the end of the day, they will deny you to vote your credible candidate. So I am calling on our senators to enact laws that will allow the Nigerian citizens to obtain their PVC at any time. And secondly, if a bank can issue an ATM card and activate it in a time, I don't see why INEC can delay our citizens for collecting their PVCs in time. They need to improve to have a machines that if they do the data capture at a time, they activate and give you your voter's card and go. Thank you very much, Mr. Yori, for giving me an opportunity to express my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Yao, for calling in.
You see, the difference between the operations in the bank and the voters registration is that a bank may be restricted to just about 5-6 million customers.
Okay.
In the case of INEC, you're talking about 100 million plus. So the server, the logistics, the technology will be quite different. But that's not to say that INEC should not work towards the ultimate in getting the right technology, because they should be able to know the progression of our population. And look, in the next 4 years, what will be the likely population of the country? How many additional voters are we likely to have? And how do we upgrade our system and all the rest? These are some of the issues that should concern INEC. And I must say that the democracy in this part of the world is quite expensive to undertake, and it's taking too much of our resources. And we must find a way of synchronizing, harmonizing these operations, because the registration is taking a lot of money. And then we have National Identity Card project, we have that, and we have, like others I mentioned. So why can't we just have one technology to take care of all these things?
Indeed. I'll come back to that point. Bob in Jos. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much.
This is Bob calling from Jos.
Okay. We're happy to have you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for bringing a lawyer that can speak to the issue that is the topic of INEC and Nigeria. You know, this PVC collection, you know, it has been a very long-standing issue. When you see INEC, you know, telling Nigerians there's a lot of outstanding PVC uncollected. And we say we are serious about this 2023 election that is coming up. I wonder why people should go and register. When it comes to collecting of your PVC, it becomes a problem. I think we should be serious with anything we are doing in this country. Not maybe come January or February, that is, you see people rushing. 1 hour to the time of a duty. You see people rushing over PVC collection of a team. My advice is that if INEC, because I know that those people who registered for PVC, they ask for a telephone number. If INEC can look into the telephone number of the individuals and call them to come and pick it up, or in alternative, even a kind of incentive where you declare incentive into collection of PVC. You see many people will rush. When INEC said that everybody that comes to collect his PVC card, that they will give him incentive or they give him a wrapper. He will see 1,001. They will come up to that office to come and collect. And even by that, when it comes to palliative, you can see how people rush into where they kept palliative. Who asked them to go to palliative places? So the energy they use in going to palliative areas to go and take palliative, they use that energy to go to INEC and collect their PVC. If they are serious in this election that is coming up, you understand me? We should take everything serious in this country, because not just 1 hour to the time of voting, you see people rushing. You know, I think there's a word they normally use.
Okay.
So please, people should be serious with this election. You understand me? Let us get this right in this country for once.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Bob, for calling in from Jos there. So speaking about Jos, we haven't heard from Ada, which is very unusual. But then maybe Ada is not, it's not every morning that she'll be home. Maybe Duty might have called, just like Duty called. And Festus Okoye, you know, the Chair Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, that had wanted to be on the program, had assured us he would be on the program, is unavoidably absent. It would have been quite useful to hear his comments on this particular judgment. And why this is important, very important, is that INEC itself has been working assiduously to perfect the system, the smoothness of the whole electoral process, and to be sure that these elections cannot be tampered with, they shall be running smoothly. But in order to access that election, you need a PVC card. And so that's coming, it's looking like a weak link. And INEC, in a sense, got its comeuppance, you know, by the court saying that, no, INEC, you can't do what you did. Now they know that going forward. But it's tremendously important, because if you don't have your PVC, you can't vote. Yes. And the court has said that every Nigerian that is desirous of being registered cannot be prevented.
And that is 18 years.
And that is, of course, assuming you qualify for everything. So, well, we're looking good. Unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Okoye is going to make it anymore. I don't know. We'll find out what has gone on. But there's precious little more to be added, because we just wanted to understand this, especially when you see a sentence such as INEC refuses to order INEC to resume. I say, what exactly is going on? Well,
I think the issue of semantics and casting
yes.
of headlines and all the
yes,
rest, you know.
Yes.
And you know, you have running headlines in journalism.
Well, that's your area too.
In journalism, you want to arrest the attention of people, and
so some things are more arresting than others.
Yes.
You know.
So I think to some to be catchy, why should the court refuse? I want to know. So it's when you go into the details of the report that you don't notice.
That you then see okay, this is what...
It was because
the judge...
we are near the 90 days.
Exactly.
That's why the court has declined.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Mr. Adebayo, good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is it, sir?
Good morning. Please go ahead.
All right, okay.
Mr. Adebayo.
Yes, yes. Uncle Yori, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Program is very interesting. Your program is very interesting, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, what I want to contribute is that, yes, sir. Good morning. Morning, sir.
Just go on speaking. Go on speaking. Don't worry about any echo or anything like that. If you're still... I hear that we've lost the connection. Only God knows what Mr. Adebayo would have wanted to say there. But as I was just saying, we can thank you very much, Fasi, Dr. Fasi Yusuf, lawyer and public affairs analyst, communications consultant, for, so that we understand it. Yes, we can say we refuse, but you just said declines. But more importantly, when you look into the body of the story, you understand why the court went the way it went.
The court will not give any order in futility.
That exactly.
If the order cannot be carried out, so why do you have to give it? Why do you have to make a pronouncement on that? So that's why the court said,
no. Look,
90 days, if you calculate the day the judgment is being given to the date of the general election, it's about 90 days. So ordering INEC, it will be laughable.
Exactly.
It will be laughable. And it will make, you cannot make a mockery of any judgment. So it is the interest of all parties that the status quo be maintained as given by the judgment. You don't need to appeal any of that. You don't need to test any of that in the upper floor.
But going forward,
they know. INEC now knows that it cannot.
Exactly.
Unless the law is further amended, unless the constitution is amended. If both are not amended, INEC is duty bound to continue the registration of voters until 90 days to the general election.
So there's a sense in which Justice Ekor's court put INEC in its place,
yes.
Put the rest of all of us else in our place, just so we know the import of the law, and it cannot be tampered with.
Our own place is that...
Well, our own place was the place of those four people.
The triumph of justice over arbitrariness.
Okay, because let it be said, that is the word that must be used for INEC's action.
Yes, it was arbitrary of INEC to have pronounced that, look, we are stopping further registration of voters. So it was arbitrary on the part of INEC to have done that, and the court has told INEC that much.
Yes, but INEC was going about its duty as it saw best. But the court has now said, without prejudice to what you were thinking.
No matter your contemplation, you cannot do it outside the purview of the law.
And that's
what the court has said.
I think I can squeeze in. Mr. Abubakar in Ilorin, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. My take this morning on this PVC, whether registration or collection. Really, in this country, we are always overriding ourselves. That means we are always using fire brigade in doing things. This so-called registration, people are agitating for now is that, when they were doing registration, for almost 3 months, some INEC officials who are registering people, they will be there, nobody will come to them. Maybe a day they will just register maybe 10, 15. Until when the INEC now give an order that so date, everything will come to an end. You now see people rushing. That is our character in this country. And it is time for us to stop it. Whenever an issue comes, and let's say a government now say, okay, this is what we are going to do. People should now put that effort and complement what they want, so that it will not backfire on us.
All right.
At the end of the day.
Indeed.
That's exactly what we are facing now. But
Indeed.
well, I believe we are going to take correction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bubakar, for calling in. And really, that brings us to the end of the program because all these issues have been addressed in the course of the program. Thank you, as always, Dr. Fasi Yusuf, lawyer, public affairs analyst.
My pleasure. Always my pleasure.
Indeed. Thank you very much. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folare. Bye-bye for now.